I call the Honourable Member Sua William Seo. Malo soifua.
Mahalo soifua, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for this opportunity. I rise on behalf of the Labour Party, and I want to simply say that the contribution and presence of Mr. Banks after 4 decades is evidence that the right-wing ideology of the Jim Bolger government failed New Zealand, and that the mother of all budgets of Ruthless Ruth during his era failed New Zealand communities. It's also evidence, sir, that they have never learnt their lesson, because I would say to this House that the government's bill is flawed and introduces punitive measures similar to those punitive measures of the decades that Mr. Banks hails from, and that are more characteristic of underdeveloped countries than a developed nation such as ours. And Labour opposes this bill because it does nothing to address the real issues of economic growth, productivity and employment. It fails to address the barriers that are faced by New Zealand communities, such as the availability of jobs, such as the skills and education, such as the barriers that sole parents face of childcare and the rising cost of early childhood education. This debate, sir, if listening to the numerous submitters that came forward and provided evidence, is a debate that is important, and it ought to be taken seriously. However, I don't think that in the period from the first reading, from the select committee, from the second reading, and even throughout the in-committee process in this House, I don't think, sir, that the other side takes seriously the impact and the ramifications of the bill and the systems that they are introducing in this bill. Because I can't help but be reminded again and again and again by the substantial submissions made by significant organisations who service our community, who deliver and are engaged at the coalface of our community, the length and breadth of New Zealand. Significant organisations such as the Salvation Army, the Children's Poverty Action Group, the Women's Organisation, the Human Rights Commission, the Children's Commissioner, the Families Commission, all of them raised concern, and all of them did not support the bill that is here. The Salvation Army, and I remind the members on the other side, said succinctly, sir, that we are moving away from the fundamental purpose of the Social Security Act of 1964. I want to repeat it for the sake of this House. The purpose of the Social Security Act, which this bill now amends, was one, to help people to support themselves and their dependents while not in paid employment. 2, to help people to find or retain paid employment. And 3, to help people for whom work may not currently be appropriate because of sickness, injury, disability, or caring responsibilities for young children, for those who are elderly or sick, to support themselves and their dependents. I also want to remind this House that as a developing nation, we are a signatory to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And above all, we should be the shining example in this region of upholding those Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I draw your attention, Mr. Speaker, to Article 23 of the Universal Declaration of Rights. 1, everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favourable conditions of work, and to protection against unemployment. 2 of Article 23, everyone without any discrimination has the right to equal pay for equal work. 3 of Article 23, everyone who works has the right to just and favourable remuneration, ensuring for themselves and their families an existence worthy of human dignity and supplemented, if necessary, by other means of social protection. 4 of Article 23, everyone has the right to form and join trade unions for the protection of their interests. Article 24, everyone has the right to rest and leisure, including reasonable limitation of working hours and periodic holidays with pay. Article 25, everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate to the health and well-being of themselves and of their family, including food, clothing, housing and medical care and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age or lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond their control. 2 of Article 25, motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protection. Sir, I think we've drifted as a country so far away from the fundamental principles and values of which we as a country have signed up to. We have drifted so far away with this bill from the fundamental purpose of the Social Security Act 1964, which established our system. No person I have ever met, no one in my community, no one in the schools that I visit, whether they be in my electorate or in other electorates, ever talk about that is their lifestyle choice to be on a benefit. That is not a lifestyle choice, contrary to what the other side believes. Sir, jobs, jobs, jobs is what this government fails to deliver. And I think, sir, that this government here, what they have done is they have mastered the act, sir, of appearing to be busy while actually doing nothing. And so the whole focus, well, I got it wrong. The art of looking busy while achieving nothing. Because so far, sir, the country, this government, seems to concede to the fact that they can't deliver jobs for the country and simply sitting on their hands, allowing the thousands and thousands of New Zealanders who are leaving our shores for the safety of Australia, of the jobs and the quality of life that Australia seems to offer for them. The whole bill, sir, as I said, is very reminiscent of what Mr. Banks' era delivered, and which we as a country suffered for many, many years. In fact, in 1999, when Labour came into power, we were challenged with the high unemployment that National had left this country in. In 2008, when we left power, sir, unemployment was at relatively low at 3.5%. We are now, for women, at 7.1%. 160,000 unemployed New Zealanders continue to look for work. And this government introduces a bill which will introduce sanctions or threats, as I've called it, because if they don't do what the department will enforce upon them, then they are faced with sanctions. And sir, my greatest concern is that despite what the intention of the minister has in drafting this bill, those individuals that will suffer as a consequence, whether intentional or not, will be children, the young people, because at 5 years old, their mum, their dad will be forced to go out looking for work. If they don't find a job, they'd be sanctioned. At 14 years old, that young person will be left at home because their mum or dad will be forced to go and find a job. I want to say to this minister, so mums, so mothers do not have a choice. That is not a lifestyle choice, sir.
Order.
So parents want to be able to provide for their families, want to provide for their children, and what this government is doing by introducing sanctions on solo mothers, sir, really is a kick in the guts for them. And at the end of the day, it will be children that will suffer, and I'm going to point our finger directly at that minister responsible.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
I call